Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday, September 28th, Unmasked Monday with the Enlisted Leadership Foundation. I'm David Deary, and joining me right now is Mr. Keith Gooseby, one of our board of advisors. Keith, how are you this morning?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. So for those that saw that we were going to be here, we're hoping to be joined this morning by retired Command Master Chief, Force Master Chief Chris Penton. And Chris is having some technical difficulties right now. So, but we didn't want to leave you waiting if you took the time to at least join us. So Keith and I are going to sit here and talk for a few minutes, give Chris a few minutes, and hopefully he could join us. If not, that's fine. We do this every Monday, and we will find another opportunity to have Chris join us in the future. So before we went live, Keith and I were having a brief conversation that I think, Keith, I think that our audience might be interested in hearing, because this is something Keith's sharing how he is engaged in what is called reverse mentorship. Keith, go ahead and tell us once again what is reverse mentorship.
So thank you, David. I heard of a reverse mentorship some time ago when I first dove into the diversity issues and programs back in 2006, somewhere around there. And there's this company named Ernst & Young, Fortune 500 company, who one of the ways they attracted and kept younger people and kept their senior people was reverse mentorship. So a lot of the senior people, now we're talking 2006, knew nothing about telecommunication and putting together graphs and et cetera on the computers. And the young people knew all that type of thing, but the young people did not know the company and did not know the company history and the do's, the don'ts, and those types of things. So they had this reverse mentoring program where the more senior people taught about the company, its values, its foundation, et cetera, and then the younger people were able to teach the older people, help train them on technology. It's just the small things. It's not like the older people couldn't figure anything out, but there were some places where they just couldn't move ahead. So I like that the reverse mentoring program.
It reminds me of in your day, which you transitioned in 2004, 2005.
Four, correct.
And I think they did this back then. But do you remember when you would have commanding officers, or you would pick a sailor to be the CO for the day, or even the command master chief for the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did that on several of my commands, and I think it's similar to what you just described, because here I can remember, these sailors afterwards, Master Chief, I didn't know all that the CO did, all the meetings, all the interruptions and everything, but the CO would say, Master Chief, I can't believe how smart these kids are. I can't believe how much they know, how interesting, right? It may not be a skill set like you just described, but it's so powerful because it gives us that relationship building, right?
Yeah. So I'm actually doing it on my job right now. Currently, I have a young lady who, it was very flattering. She asked me a few weeks ago, would I be her mentor? So we set up a mentor time once every other week on a Friday morning. And I said, on one condition, you'll mentor me in some areas of technology. And she's very good, very fluid in some areas where I'm still, need some dusting off and need to learn some things. And so it's the kind of practice what you preach. I talk to other people about reverse mentoring, and I'm no different than anyone else. I know I can learn from just about anyone. And so I'm diving into the reverse mentoring process, and I'm enjoying it as well. It's great.
That's fantastic. Let's re-explore mentorship for a moment, Keith. Let's see. Rosa's joining us. Hold on a second. Let's see. Rosa. Rosa, good afternoon. Good morning. You're live.
I think we have a little connectivity here with Chris, but he said he's online. Can you see him?
Can you need to turn your volume down, Rosa, because we're getting off feedback if possible. I don't see if Chris is online. He's not in our studio, and he's not chatting with us. I see I see Jamie on the East Coast is chatting with us.
Hi, Jamie on the East Coast.
He's in Florida right now. You're welcome for the book, Jamie. So, Keith, I remember 2002, I believe it was, 2003 is when Terry Scott and the military came out with the mandatory mentorship program. And that kind of, up until that point, we had a very loosey-goosey, informal mentoring, if you will. Back in our day, please don't remember, I'm dating myself. This is 20 plus years ago. We would call it our Sea Daddy, right? And, but now it's a more formalized mentoring. And I recognize as we introduced this in the early 2000s, you either select a mentor or one will be assigned. And, we've seen that there's commands today that assign mentors. They do.
Yeah.
So here's my question, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Do you think there is that assigning mentor has a place? Do you think that there's, hey, Chris Penton is here. Hold on. Chris Penton, I see you.
Hey, how you doing there? Hey, who is that bearded guy there? I don't recognize Santa Claus.
What's up, Force Penton? Keith Gooseby here. How you doing?
Hey, how we doing? Y'all ready?
Excellent. How about you?
We're doing good. Thanks for joining us today, Keith. We'll have to table our mentorship conversation for another time. But Force, you hear us okay? We good? I see you walking around. I see your lips moving, but I don't hear anything.
No, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down because see, I'm a high energy kind of person. See, only retired guys sit down and do interview. The guy that's still active and got all the energy are the one that walk around. Right there, Mr. Gooseby. How you doing, sir?
Well,
yes.
Hey, listen, guys, I appreciate everybody being here today. I think Rosa wants to join us. Rosa, good morning. I'm going to unmute you. If you wanted to say a few words, Rosa, before I kick everything off.
No, just go. I'm happy to see Chris be able to join us here. So go ahead and introduce him so we can go ahead and get going.
Rosa, I'm going to kick you out of the stream, but
all right.
If you want to get in? Okay. So listen, Chris, thanks for joining us this morning. And you already know Keith. I know you guys had a lot of time together, active duty. I met you once years ago when you were in Millington. I came back there and I met you once. I'm grateful to have you join us this morning. So for those that have never met Force Chris Penton, he's the founder of Full Circle Leadership, which is an organization that grooms young people into future leaders. Man, what a career. The Navy Ceremonial Guard, you're the Command Master Chief. Navy District, Washington. The USS Bunker Hill, second only to the USS Mobile Bay. The USS Bellawood. Oh, man. Bellawood and Tarawa, both those ships, such reputations of those vessels. And the Connie. I mean, those ships, there's something about those ships when you served on those ships. You talk to people that served on those ships, their chests get pumps up a little bit more, the hair on that stands up a little higher, they walk a little prouder. It's really exciting to have been part, when you can be part of a command, that's the memory that you're left with. The USS Nimitz, Command Master Chief of the Nimitz, and Center for Career Development, and then you entered the Force Master Chief of Navy Recruiting in Millington, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it wasn't even a force job before I got there. When I got there, it was just a regular Command Master Chief job. And I looked around and I said, wait, you got the Force Master Chief of Aviation. You have the Force Master Chief of the Surface Navy, CV, Special Forces, and everybody got their own forces, yeah? They said, yeah. I said, how do they even replenish their manpower? They said, recruiting. I'm the Command Master Chief of Navy Recruiting Command. They can't even do their job unless I get up in the morning. And they are forced, and I'm not a force. You got 15 minutes to change the paperwork, and 14 minutes just expired. Mick Pond Campbell, force position. I was the first Force Master Chief of Navy Recruiting Command ever, period. In a story.
Trailblazer.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you that story, to just like as you say, we can't function. A command can't function without bringing in recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Your sailors that you're responsible at that level. Man, and one could argue today recruiting is not as difficult as it was then, but recruiting is difficult, right? Any time that you have a responsibility that you are tasked to accomplish something is tough. And I used to tell my young airmen, firemen, and seamen, say at the end of the day, the ship can get underway without a command master chief. We can get underway without quite a few people, but we cannot get underway without our airmen, firemen, and seamen. Who's going to haul in all lines? Who is going to run the engine room? Who's going to steer the ship? Who's going to launch recover aircraft? People sometimes don't realize the significance of the most junior sailors that we, as chief petty officers, as first class petty officers, second class petty officers, that we're entrusted to lead. And so I think it's very relevant that you were able to, through MIPCOM-CAMPA, to be successful in creating that position, not for yourself, but for the Navy and those after you.
No. I never do anything for myself. Let me tell you how easy my career has been. Not only was I in charge of recruiting, my most rewarding tour was I was a drill instructor. I pushed boots. So yeah. I've done everything from waking up in the morning, from being born to dying, that includes it in the Navy. Push boots, recruit, took them to sea, train them, blah, blah, blah. I do it all. That's what I do. But I don't do it for me. I do it because guys like the guy sitting next to you. That's my mentor right there. Should have been the first African-American Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. As a matter of fact, he was the first MIPCOM. He went to sleep that night and he woke up and he got a phone call and said, by the way, we didn't select you, but when he went to sleep, he was the MIPCOM. When he woke up, he wasn't a MIPCOM. Now, he may not tell that story because I know some of the darkest secrets about the Navy, period.
Well, there's
am I right or wrong?
Keith is a man of high character. He shares his stories and he shares the pieces that are the most relevant. And if there's ever a time that he feels that version or that I won't say version, if that part of the story, he'll bring it out.
No, Keith, is that true or not? I don't pass things on for another day. Keith, is that true or not? I speak the truth. You don't put me off to the next. Keith, is that true or not?
Well, let me just say, because no one appointed me the Master Chief of the Navy, I wasn't, but then I hear.
Based on my facts, it's true. You're going to give me the political answer. It's true. But I listen to you.
All right. Got it, brother.
So
thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, Chris.
So listen, let's talk about full circle leadership. Okay. So we only have about 15 more minutes here. So tell us about your organization, what you're doing to groom the young people into future leaders.
The purpose of full circle leadership is to make sure we got an inventory of young people that understand what's going on in this world to take us into the future. I don't train people for today. I train people for the future. If we're satisfied with setting an example for today, we've already lost the war. Full circle leadership is about grooming. It's about dipping into the elementary students. It's not about the high school, because by the time they make it to high school, they already got their mindset. You got to dip down into the elementary school, and then you got to get down into the daycare, because you need to start grooming young people when they're born. Give them the 6 months to learn how to drink milk and all that kind of stuff, but then get on that level. We need to start training young people when they learn how to walk, period.
Agree.
And that's where I'm going. And I capture everybody along the way on the way down, but you got to start down there and bring everybody up.
Interesting. Keith, why don't you, we were talking, this is mentoring, and we were talking about mentoring a little bit ago. So why don't you comment on that?
So let me just affirm, what Chris is saying from what I see, because I do some coaching, right? And why is coaching even necessary, particularly in the younger generation? Coaching is necessary because there's things they didn't learn along the way. And so you get young people, there's some things that they should have known, should have been taught, they should have learned it, but they didn't get it for whatever reason. So what Chris is saying, and I like that, Chris, is that let's eliminate the needs for coaching people as an industry. Let's start training them early on to live up to their potential and their capacity. So that's good stuff, Chris.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, this is what it's all about, to be honest with you. Leaders, I'm going to show you this real quick. Leaders should do this. Leaders should lead. Now, all leaders should have been good followers. You can't be a good leader if you were not a good follower. So leaders should lead, and you got three choices when you start off in this world. You got three choices. You either lead or follow or get out the way. It's not that hard. Most good followers make the best leaders. Most good leaders have been good followers. The people have gotten out of the way. You don't know what they would have been in life if they got out the way. But leadership is a full-time job. It's not a part-time job. It's not a collateral duty. It's not something you can do on a Monday and a Wednesday and take off Thursday and Friday. If you're a true leader, you have to be a leader all the time. That's where we go wrong at, because we want to be a leader between certain hours. I'm off the clock. It's my time. Well, I'm a 24-hour-a-day leader. I may go to sleep. I may not. All depend on what's going on that day.
So let me pose a question to both of you guys.
Sure, please.
So, Chris, you say, you lead and you follow, or you get out of the way. I've never met a leader. I've never met somebody who willingly got out of the way. See, most people, I think people in leadership positions think that they're leading. I've never met the person like, yeah, you know what? I'm not really leading or following. I think I'm just going to hang out and get out of the way. So now we may see those people, but they don't see themselves. So how do you go about identifying the person to get out of the way?
This how you identify those people. Did you make a difference today? The answer is no. You automatically got out the way without even knowing you got out the way. It's not whether you agree to get out the way. Your action determines whether you're in the way or out of the way, period.
What do you think, Keith? Do you agree with that? Do you have your own?
Yeah. I think it's right. Let me put it this way. There's a difference. All leaders are managers. All managers aren't necessarily leaders. Managers manage stuff that's given to them, people, assets. Leaders, provide vision and that type of thing. So you have some person, let's just say, I'm the supervisor of a supervisor, but that supervisor is not being a good leader. Then they just did what Chris just said. They just moved themselves out the way. Then I'll lead. You just manage the assets, okay? And so there's a clear difference there, and I think some people don't. We can't just move them out the way in a physical kind of fashion, but we can step in and provide the leadership that they're not, as they manage what we've given them to manage. Because you lead does not make you a leader. Lead is what you do. Leader is who you are.
Very good. Okay. I would submit there's something that, because we can all have a bad day. We can all have maybe a bad couple days, right? But I look at things character over time. When somebody does something or says something that it's like, is that person's character over time, or is that a one-off? Maybe they're having a bad day or a bad something. Whereas when I look over a period of time, consistently, this person's acting a certain way, time for them to get out of the way.
Now, see, it don't take me long to evaluate a person. If I walk in your work center and you got trash on the ground and your sailors need a haircut, and you stand up there leaning up against the machine smoking and you ain't doing nothing, I have just saw all I needed to see. That's not a bad day. It's a bad day because it's getting ready to get even worse when I get finished with you. So
then in that example, and again, this is a hypothetical. when do you, or when would I or Keith go into mentorship role versus let's go outside the pathway, have a conversation role? Or do you do both?
You go into the mentor role when you first check into a command. Hey, my name is so-and-so. Watch my action. You're getting ready to get mentored. I'm going to tell you what you need to be doing. Now, you don't do it. We're going to go into the next stage. You don't spend a lot of time trying to be a mentor. You're supposed to be a mentor just based on when you walk into a room. Mentor is not a conversation. It's an action.
Yeah, and I get it's, and I just look at, again, going back to that example. I mean, it's hard because for me it's hard because there could be so much going on to that. I look at a situation, I see somebody without knowing what they're going through, and maybe this isn't fair because, like you said, if the haircuts are, nobody's got their haircut, the leader's leaning up against the whatever. Clearly, there's something probably there's a attitude or an atmosphere that's taking place in that work setting.
A culture. It's a culture.
Culture. That's the word. Thank you. There's a culture. It's not like you walked in and again, it character over time. You walk in, it's like, boy, this isn't how I normally find this place. That would be different.
Don't get me wrong. I don't go in there and just shoot. I don't do that. But I do one thing. I tell you how to be a leader. I show you how to be a leader. And then when you come up short, I teach you how to be a leader. And sometimes getting you out of the way, maybe teaching you a lesson. I don't apologize for being who I am. So I don't want somebody to apologize for them being a bad leader. You got a lot of things going on in your life. Step to the side. Let the man that got less things going on until you're able to handle that situation and get back in the fight. I'm not going to waste somebody else's career because you got things going on in your life.
Sure. So let me ask you this, Forrest. As you came up through the ranks, who made that impact on you? Were you E5, E4?
No. It wasn't even in the Navy. It started before I came in the Navy. My mother, my grandmother, and my auntie, I was raised by 3 females. Okay. And they told me that's why I told you we need to get into the elementary school.
Got it. Okay, now we're getting there.
The foundation was laid for who I was back in the day. So it was easy. When I came in the Navy, I asked one question. You mean if I pick up behind myself and make my own bed and say, yes, sir, no, sir, you going to pay me? They said, yeah. I said, I was doing that for free for my entire life. So that's where it started. That didn't have nothing to do with the military.
Okay.
The military enhanced what I had, but it didn't build what I had.
David, everything Chris is saying, I see it so clearly because very similar things. I remember going home on leave and someone would say to me, wow, the Navy sure turned you into something. But no. Don't take that credit from my parents. The Navy gave me opportunity to demonstrate what I could do. Okay, but it didn't make me into it. And neither one of us are knocking Navy. We're just simply saying it doesn't start. If you're counting on Navy to make you the leader, that's not how it works. But I want to hit on one other thing that Chris said. You talked about moving a person out the way. I had an experience when I was a chief running a division. And I had 2 work center supervisors working for me. There was one supervisor who I literally said, okay, I tell you what, shipmate, for 2 weeks, you're not the supervisor. I am. I want you to watch. And so I literally moved him. He was embarrassed, etc. But you know what happened after those 2 weeks were up? He did a turnaround, fantastic turnaround. Okay, sometimes you got to do that,
Hey, David, real good. A good leader will determine they got too much on their plate and step aside to let
agree.
Come in there. See, leadership is both ways. It's the person identifying the person and the person identifying their weak spot and say, you know what? Take me out the game for a few weeks. Let me handle some business. And then I'm back in the game. That's fine with me. Let's do that. But if I got to identify the problem and then correct the problem, somebody got to pay, baby. I got to eat.
No, I agree with that. It's but let's be honest, guys. Not everybody was raised the way we were raised. Not everybody came into the military with some life skills. So, there's some people that get frustrated having to teach these youngsters some life skills.
So I understand that. So That's why Full Circle Leadership is trying to build a foundation to put everybody on the same level. Now, everybody didn't come in with the same level. Now, I didn't come in not knowing. So should I be penalized because I came in knowing? So the example you gave me was a guy who didn't have all the tools in the tool bag. What about a guy like me that got all the tools? Do I have to step aside and wait for him to come up to my speed? I don't think so.
Don't think so. No.
Nope.
So listen, real quick, just had a question come through by Petty Officer Smith. It says, what is the most important quality you look for in first classes looking to become strong leaders and looking to make Chief Petty Officer?
Well, make a chief petty officer shouldn't even be the question. Strong leader is what I'm gonna address. Because you don't make petty officer. You take care of your people. What I look for is somebody to take care of their people. Be concerned and be caring and take care of your people and let all the other stuff take care of itself.
So along with what Chris is saying, one of the things I like to tell people is this: when it does come time to make chief, make scene chief, whatever, no one's making you anything. I'm looking for the person who already is and just doesn't have the uniform. Okay, that's what we want. Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully, there, Petty Officer Smith. I hope that was. I don't know what you were looking for. Short and concise, man. It's not rocket science.
I don't give you what you're looking for. I give you what you need.
What you need. And I just want you guys to know that we have another Force Master Chief retired, not with us, but on chat. Brandon Knox just joined us. He's on chat. So if you want to say hello to Brandon over there in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, Brandon Knox, he know me. He was one of my sailors. He worked for me. Ask Brandon, did he work for me?
I'm sure he'll chime in here in a minute.
When he came to the ship, he was a senior chief IT on the Delaware.
Yep.
When I came to be the command master chief, he pulled alongside and I told him what he needed to do. And now he did what he needed to do. Now he's the fourth master chief. That's what I do. I don't give promises. I fulfill dreams, baby.
Soundbite. Soundbite. I don't fulfill promises.
Brandon's a sharp. He's a sharp sailor, sharp Force Master Chief.
Brandon is a good friend.
Yeah.
And and Kareem Cole just joined us. So man, what it's good seeing you guys. It's like being inside the mess. But Brandon is Brandon's a great guy.
David, like this. If it wasn't for guys like Gooseby, it wouldn't be guys like me. If it wasn't for guys like me, it wouldn't be guys like Knox. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. Leadership is the gift that keeps on giving.
So there, hey, Petty Officer Smith, there you go. The leadership's a gift that keeps on giving. And so think about it there, Petty Officer Smith. Because of you, who's going to be 20 years from now that's going to say, if not for Petty Officer Smith, I would not be. Yeah. And who are you going to be able to say, man, I had the opportunity to lead the next Force Penton, Force Gooseby, Force Knox, and Command Master Crane Cole. They're out there.
That's 3 Force Masters in one conversation. That's a lot of force. Yeah. Let the force be with you.
We have to bring this back in hey
David,
4th, right?
David, can I just speak to Petty Officer Smith for a minute and just say this? Yeah. When you're making decisions as a leader, making the next promotion should not be any part of that decision. Yeah. That decision should be based on the here and the now. And I think that's how we get the people who are already the chief but just don't have the uniform, Yeah. And I'm not saying that he's doing that. I don't even know who he is. I'm just saying, so keep that in mind as I make decisions. And sometimes you're going to make a risky decision. It may get in the way of your advancement. Who knows? But you're dedicated to making the right and the best decision that you possibly can without thought about, is this going to hinder my career or not? And I think I've seen a lot of people who've been that bold, that courageous, and haven't done him in a hard. We're talking about right now, Chris Penton. He's one of those. It wasn't about the rank; it was about getting it right.
Yeah. I always tried to. I guess for me, it was. I'm always trying to train my relief and train the person to surpass me. I'm always one pay grade higher than I ever thought I would be. Right.
Well, hey, David, it was like this. I came in at E1, and then one day I went to sleep, and I had 30 years, and I said to myself, how did I even make rank? I was just doing my job every day.
Your job.
Your attitude should be, and the thing about it is, you should never go back and apologize. You know, like we trying to say Penton Officer Smith. The hard facts are what they are. We tell them, you don't go in there to make chief. Do your job. And we don't supposed to go behind and say, oh, that was too harsh. Give the people the facts, man, and let them go about their job, man. We pamper too much. Nobody ever me. Nobody
so Pet Officer Smith just chimed back in. He said he's in Team Roberts. That tells me he's in our Foundry class right now.
Oh, cool.
So so he's actually going through our Foundry Leadership program that started a couple weeks ago. This is our 13th class, their first one that's virtual. So Penton Smith, thanks for being here. These guys are dedicated a lot of online time over 5 weeks, hearing 2 speakers a week, 2 fireside chats a week, plus a command master chat each week. So
well, maybe you should bring him on. Hey, I'll come on and talk to him. Let me tell
well,
you
what's unique about Foundry is we use civilians as our leaders. We don't use military. Although for our CPO Legacy Academy,
well, I'm gonna tell you, you're doing it wrong, because neither one, you don't even have, see, it's a thin line between being a civilian and a military. Discipline, see, if you start separating, we don't use the military, we don't use civilian, you already lost the battle. I'm just telling you, because you should not see, you should not even see the transition between the two.
Well, we won't get into I won't get into why the everything about the Foundry class in this, because we don't want to take away from you. So,
but I'm a proof. I walk the walk and talk the talk. Now I can talk to you politically. I can say, well, we don't do this and we don't do that. But I can give it to you raw too. That's one thing about me. If you don't want the truth, don't ask me.
Okay. So we got about 3.5 more minutes.
Okay.
3.5 more minutes. So, going back to your organization, how do you? I was kind of curious. So when you're talking elementary school and beyond, how do you do that? How do you get involved in the schools?
No, this is what I'm doing right now, because I took a year off because my wife was sick and I had to be a care provider. She had a double lung transplant and she passed away a year ago. But this is this is my goal right here, is to have I'm gonna have a chartered after school program. I don't want to really get into the school, because I want to get into the Secretary of Education and the curriculum. I want to pick up when the kids get out of school and provide something to get them to school the next day, and then do something for them over the summer so they can go back to school. I want to stay after school, but I want to charter everything that's going to help them to be better students. That's the purpose of Full Circle Leadership. It's not to step on anybody's toes, but to make sure you got shoes on when the door opens.
That's good. Very good. Very good. I like that.
That's really good. And so do you envision this just in your local community or spreading nationally?
No, whenever I touch something, it's worldwide. I don't do
worldwide.
I don't do community. That's for the mayor.
Okay.
I do world events. I mean, if you look at all my duty stations, I have never thought of it as I was even on the USS. See, another thing that people don't realize, not only was I was the command master chief of the Nimitz, I was the command master chief of the battle group of all the ships that was out there. Because when you're the senior guy, the admiral don't have a command master chief. So the command master chief of the ship, if he or she are worth their weight in salt, doubles as both. So my most rewarding tour today was when I pushed boots, because at the end of 6 weeks, a parent will come up to you and say, I don't even recognize that kid. You have changed that person in 8 weeks. See, those are the most rewarding and prestigious jobs to me. Not an aircraft carrier, not 4,000 people, but changing somebody's life instantly. That's what I'm about. Great.
Well, listen, gentlemen, we're just about out of time here. So, Keith, I'm going to go to you to give a last couple words, and then Chris, I'm going to go back to you to close this off with your last words of advice or whatever you want to share. So, Keith.
Yes, well, thank you, David, and it's great having Chris here. Chris it's a riot here, you man, and it's a riot because you're so real. You're just what you say you are, and I really enjoy that. For everybody out there who's listening, leadership, it's a very defined subject, but then it's a very broad subject. You know, you can lead in a certain event, or you can just be a leader. And you know, how do you know you're a leader? You're a leader because people follow you. And it doesn't mean that you have a given position. You can be junior to somebody else, but people follow your ideas because they like what they like what you stand for, what you're doing. It's making sense, you know. So you're a leader. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you're not one because you don't have a position or a title or a sign on your door that says you're a leader. You're a leader because people listen to you and they follow you. And I think there's many people out there who fit that description. So over to you.
And
Chris?
I'm gonna be real quick. A leader is somebody. If you call yourself a leader, glance behind you every now and then and see if anybody's following you. If nobody's following you, you're not leading. You're just walking. You're just walking. So all the commands I've ever been at, my entire life, people have always told me, you can't do that. Why? Because it's too big. Oh, you mean being a command master chief of aircraft carrier is big? Man, it's just leadership. I don't have to do the job. All I got to do is make sure that I mentor everybody else to do their job.
Exactly.
So that's what it's all about. See, that's what we go wrong at. Don't try to eat the whole elephant. Train other people how to eat pieces of the elephant.
Very good.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Chris Penton, Keith Gooseby, I want to thank you both for spending time with our audience today. And what's so awesome about doing this in this virtual environment is the 30 some odd people we have live right now will only magnify because this will be replayed and rebroadcasted, and people will be able to tune in and see this for weeks on end. So I thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again, and everyone out there. Again, this is David Deary with the Enlisted Leadership Foundation, Unmasked Monday. Join us every Monday at 11 o'clock. Not only on Facebook Live, but now also on our YouTube channel. Go check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're looking to get over 100 subscribers by the end of the year. With that, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Okay.